Hi guys, welcome to Tarot in the Dark. My name is Tori. So tonight we're going to do an interesting reading. This is going to be an inside out reading. What we're going to do is bring a specific emotion to the forefront that needs to be brought into balance for you, okay? So I don't know if this is going to be a series, but I was hearing inside out and bring this emotion into balance. So this is a deck that has emotions in it, but if an emotion doesn't come out, we're not going to really be too concerned about that because our ancestors will guide us to the specific emotion, okay? So we trust that our guides, angels, ancestors will present exactly what needs to be brought to attention, okay? Let me put that back. That was protection, but let me put it back and let's just focus in. For pile number one, which emotion needs to be brought into balance? For pile number one, which emotion needs to be brought into balance? So you have two, the ghost and consciousness, and I'm going to keep these, okay? And then caution was at the bottom of the deck, okay? For pile number two, wow, disruption. For pile number three, which emotion needs to be brought into balance? Flow. Okay, this is awesome. I love this. Now, all of these can be emotions, right? We can connect all of these energies to emotions. So this is beautiful. I'm loving this. I'm going to do this. Let's do this. I'm trying to figure out how to put these here so that you can see both for pile number one. I love this. This energy is screaming. The disruption energy, like I'm already picking up channeled messages. If you guys watch me, I get really excited when I'm just doing the pulling the cards, shuffling, just picking the piles, and the energy already begins to flow. Like I just love it. I get really excited. So what I'm going to do is zoom in, and hopefully you can see. I'm going to just shift the camera. Okay, awesome. So if you would just take a moment to just view the cards. I am going to tune the sound bowl. I would recommend that you take a deep breath in, close your eyes, and if you're able to close them, please do. Once the sound bowl is off, or the tune goes away, feel free to open your eyes and select your pile, okay? For pile number one, we have consciousness and ghost. For pile number two, we have disruption. And for pile number three, we have flow. And remember, these are the emotions that you're being asked to bring into balance. These energies are attached to a specific emotion or emotions, okay? Alrighty. If you have headphones in, I recommend just turning the volume down. The sound bowl is going to go off. Okay, whenever you're ready, feel free to pick your pile and I'll meet you on the other side. Hi, pile number one. If you chose consciousness and or the ghost, which both cards came out, this or these are the emotions that your team is asking you to assist in bringing into balance. So the emotion coming through strongest here initially is like a distaste, like an energy of, it's almost like a Four of Cups energy. Feeling like there's, the feeling is a lack of awareness, okay? So an emotion that would be attached to that would be the energy of something like it's like a disapproving energy, where it feels like you're maybe challenged by life in general. Okay, so let me just tell you what's being shown to me. I am going to intuit this, but I'm going to, they're giving me emotions to attach it to, so that you have a better understanding of where this comes from. Okay, so the emotions attached to this are absolutely discontentment, boredom, dissatisfaction, and it's an overall dissatisfaction due to, immediately I was picking up on this, it's excuse me, it's due to some type of avoidant energy. Okay, and if you haven't watched any of my other readings, please just know that I'm going to tell you the truth in all situations, and I'm also going to do my part in holding you as accountable as I can, as someone who loves you as a brother or sister. Okay, so that's the best way that I can describe this, because some of the energy and the emotions typically can be very touchy-feely, right? Somebody's talking about the things that are affecting you, hurting you, the wounds. I kind of would consider myself to be like almost like a therapist as a tarot reader. Okay, so I'm going to bring ideas to you that my guides give me to share with you, and then the intention is always that you walk away with some type of practical advice to be able to, you know, pursue your best life. Okay, that's the goal here, is to give you the tools that you need so that you can walk away feeling like you have hope, help, and assistance and support along your path. Okay, and I'm giving you that information because this energy stems from a place of deeply rooted hurt. It stems from a place of wounds, and maybe consistently being wounded, traumatized, and challenged by life in general. And oftentimes when we find ourselves in this energy, it's as if we want to just shut everything out because it doesn't seem like we have anything that's working for us. Okay, and so you may find yourself maybe not in that energy right in this second, but you may fall victim to this energy frequently. Okay, you may feel like you find yourself constantly being challenged by the woes of life. And what happens is when these energies arise, immediately your first reaction is to run and ghost the situation, the person, the experience, the situation, whatever it is. I think I said situation twice, but you get it. The goal is for you just get away, because it's easier to avoid and to run than it is to sit with and feel these emotions. So for you, I'm feeling a very sensitive individual, one who would prefer not to feel their emotions because the emotions typically root from pain. Okay, you're gonna find yourself with a ton of emotions or energy that sit in the sad and like disgusted. If you were to look at like an emotional wheel, which I try to share this with my son, the emotional wheel is super beneficial for people who don't necessarily know how to identify an emotion. And I was absolutely one of those people. I would even say that I am one of those people where I'm very emotional. I feel everything. I'm a Pisces, but it's hard for me to actually identify what those emotions are. And a part of healing is the ability to be able to identify the emotion. When we experience emotions and we don't know how to label them or where to place them or how to healthily attach to them, we tend to fall into the sadness and anger areas of the emotional wheel, where we fall into those emotions. We feel disappointed. This is like that disapproving energy that I was speaking of earlier. We can also fall victim, right? We can find ourselves sitting in despair, feeling lonely, feeling like the world is against us. And often this will even bleed over into the angry category, to where we are distant, to where we are constantly feeling frustrated and we're bitter and we're just kind of just ticked off and let down by the world around us, okay? And because I have experienced this, I'm going to speak to you as if I were speaking to myself, okay? And hopefully you'll find it beneficial to be able to gain a different perspective in regards to why you see the world through the lens that you see it through. And then also, again, the goal is to help assist and support in bringing this into balance, okay? So first things first is, well, actually probably third or fourth things first because I've been talking for a while here. But initially what I'm picking up on is having the vision and the sight to be able to see these things. So I think initially the first step or advice that your team is giving to you would be just to simply identify your emotions. Identify the feelings that you're having when the emotions arise, okay? So say, for example, you feel discontent, okay? Let's just go back to that since we were talking about that. When you feel discontent with life, ask yourself, what is it that's making me feel this way? And then, do I have the power to change this situation? So say, for example, you're feeling discontent because of, the fact that you had to work on the weekends, mandatory overtime, and you really wanted the weekend off. Okay, now I'm just ticked off. Life is against me. I'm feeling discontent with the fact that I just never get a break, right? I'm just irritated by the fact that I never get a break. Could you change the mandatory overtime situation? If the answer is yes, then okay, there goes your like switch to be able to flip and now give yourself access to no longer feel discontent. If the answer is no, you can't change the fact that you have to work mandatory overtime, then what do I have control over? What do I have control over? Because your ability to be able to be conscious of your feelings is going to be very instrumental in assisting and supporting you, because your number one emotion is going to be discontentment. Okay, and discontentment is an emotion. And actually, you know what? I want to look up the definition so that I can give you the exact information, okay? Because that's your emotion that's coming through strongest. So according to dictionary.com, discontent is not content, dissatisfied, and discontented, okay? We know that. To make discontented, dissatisfied, or displeased, a lack of contentment, a restless desire or craving for something one does not have. I love that definition. And malcontent is the third noun. This would be unhappiness, okay, is a synonym, which is great. And then depression, envy, okay, I love that. Depression, envy, regret is even here. Restlessness, displeasure, I love this. And unhappiness, I said already. So let's go back to a restless desire or craving for something one does not have. So a part of the challenge for you is going to be to hone in on what you do have, okay? You are not alone in these energies, guys. Trust me. There's a whole world around us full of people that are discontent, and if we're all honest, we can all fall into this energy. And I wanted to say fall victim to this energy because our team is present, speaking very clearly that this is actually an energy and an emotion that you generate and create, okay? This is an energy of something that it's almost like they're putting the accountability on you, on us, okay? They're saying that whenever we fall into this energy, we fall victim to this energy, it's because we're allowing something else to alter our stability. Wow, okay. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I'm going to get one more of these if I can. Okay, I love this. I love this. And look at what's at the bottom is preservation. Reevaluate this battle you are engaged in. A hasty retreat may be in order. Self-preservation may be the only thing salvageable. Wow. So what that's telling me is that you actually could be dealing with a situation that you may be trying to control. Okay, so your challenge with being consciously aware of the emotions that you may tend to fall victim to could have a lot to do with your lack of consciousness. And it seems like they're saying very clearly that the discontentment energy that you may fall victim to frequently is due to the fact that you're avoiding dealing with the emotions when they appear. You may not know how to deal with the emotions when they appear, is really how your energy feels. It feels less like I'm going to just run away because I don't want to deal with this. I feel like you are very forthcoming with wanting, hoping, desiring, praying, wishing that something would change in your life. But I think the challenge is that you don't have the right tools to be able to access the energy on the other side. It's like you're sitting on the left side over here hoping that you can get to the other side of the river, but you don't know how to get there. Almost like you're saying, someone send me a raft or a boat, like help me get to the other side. If somebody would give me the resources, the tools, the information that I need, I would get there. See, this foolishness card is here, and it reads, you are worried that by letting go of your frustration, those who are responsible will perceive they have won. Well, they have won, because the only one suffering is you. Wow. Whew. So this is given a few things. The first thing that I'm picking up on is that there's an energy of someone that you need to forgive for mistreating you. There's someone who did something foolish to you, and now you find yourself not being able to release or let go of their incapabilities. And that's the word that they're using very specifically. So I don't know what that means for you, but it means something for someone because they screamed it in my ear. The incapabilities of them that you've deemed foolishness, it's almost like they've inadvertently been given to you or gifted to you. Gifted to you due to the fact that there's previously there were some inner child wounds within you that needed illumination, is what they're saying. And so this individual was allowed to cause disruption in your life in order to present to you the opportunities for you to become conscious. Oh my God, that's dope, guys. Ooh, I love this. Oh my God, this is so amazing. Forgive me for screaming in your ears, but I just never know why they're having me do these readings. And then when I start, I'm like, oh my God, this is fantastic, guys. These are the tools and the resources that we need that people run from. And you know, one thing for me is like, I know I have a gift, right? But that doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. If my gift is not going to be used for someone to actually be helped, then I'm not a benefit to the world. I'm an asset, right? No, not an asset. What's the other word? A deficit. An asset is something good. So whatever the opposite of an asset is, okay, I'm a deficit, or, you know, I'm a problem if I'm not providing a solution. And I don't want to use my gifts and you guys walk away thinking I didn't gain anything. There's no reason for me to be here. I'm perfectly fine doing tarot readings in the dark in my room by myself. My purpose is that I expect to be used in a way that is actually going to benefit your lives. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because you have that same desire. You desire to heal, to recuperate, and to recover from this foolishness that has been done against you, because you want to be an asset, not a liability. That's the word. Thank you, Spirit. You don't want to be a liability. And so the challenge with that is when people are like us, right? When they want to be an asset to the collective, to the world, to society, to the people around them, their family, friends, etc. Whoever, if you just want to be an asset to your employer, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you have that energy, when you're conscious of the fact that there are people who need help, and you step in the box and say, I'm willing to do this, then that comes with a whole nother layer of responsibility. And so what happens is your team then holds you accountable to a higher standard. And so what they're saying is that we need you to pour into you and to stop worrying about what someone else did to you. That person did that to you to get you to the state that you're in right now. And yes, it was devastating. Yes, it was terrible. And there's no minimizing the wrongs that people have done to any of us. And I'll be the last to say that, because I hated when people told me, just get over it. There's no way to get over being wounded in the ways that we are wounded by other human beings. However, there is a way to recover from it, and there is a way to alchemize the energy, to transmute the pain into something powerful, and then you drown out all of the pain through your power. But pile number one, with this energy and you taking on the role of being able to assist and support and wanting to help others come into the light, you have to rid yourself of your foolishness. You're not allowed to play the victim. And as long as you continue to allow yourself to stay in that role, you are avoiding. And all that's going to happen is you are going to burn yourself out, which is why this exhaustion energy is here. And it reads, long and challenging as this journey is, it is worth every struggle, because the results are long-term and worth every sacrifice made along the way. And that is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. If you've ever been pregnant, or if you had a wife, a sister, a mother, a friend, someone who you actually observed being pregnant, you understand that the pain of that pregnancy can sometimes feel foolish, right? Like sometimes you're like, oh my God, like how did I even get pregnant? Like what am I doing, right? Especially like somebody who has, say you have 17 children, you get pregnant at the 18th time, you're like, what the heck was I thinking? Like, oh my gosh, I have 18 children. You know, I'm just giving this as an example, but you know, imagine that happening and you're thinking, what a fool I was to lay there. Or you get pregnant by someone that you don't even like. You're like, oh my God, I was just messing with them and now I got a whole baby here. And you can deem yourself to be a fool. However, the birthing of the baby takes away all the foolishness that you indulged in, right? It's like it doesn't even matter anymore, because this child is worth everything to me. And so for you, they're saying right now that the end result will be beautiful, but you have to struggle along the way. You know, pushing that baby out of the canal is painful. It burns. You have to feel the ring of fire. And for you, pile number one, the emotion of discontentment is a ring of fire in your life. And I think that it shows up oftentimes kind of burning your days. It feels like you have days where you could go the whole day and just feel like, oh my God, like what the heck? Why am I here? Like this is so annoying. This is awesome too, guys. I hope you heard the rest of that, because my camera cut off. But this is awesome because this seed is exactly what we were just talking about in regards to, like, the seed of this for you is anger. So the seed of your discontentment is the fact that you are not free from what someone did to you, and you're still holding on to what they did. It feels like that seed has turned into discontentment, dissatisfaction overall with life, and it's almost like it's sprouted out. So it was anger that was embedded in you. This does feel like there is some father wounding here too, guys. I have to be honest with what I'm picking up on, but it also feels like there's some father wounds attached to this anger. And what'll happen is, if you have a father wound and you marry somebody who the word I was hearing is regenerates, but I don't know if that's appropriate. I guess it is for something, but it's like, yeah, regenerating. They recreate that same experience for you. That makes perfect sense. Sorry, team. I'm sorry. When they give me words and I'm like, is that the right word? I'm thinking through it. I'm like, it's not like I'm telling them they don't know what they're saying. Clearly, I wouldn't even know what the heck I was doing without them. It's more so me trying to process. Anyways, you may find yourself over explaining situations too that really don't have anything to do with the root. That's interesting, because I was like, why am I explaining this? Like, nobody cares. Let's just keep the reading going. But you may find yourself over explaining. Oh, okay. So the root of anger could, you could find yourself over explaining why you dealt with somebody like this person. Okay? Like, why did you deal with somebody like this? There's something about that person too that affected your ability to express yourself. They're showing me the throat chakra. So something about that person's energy didn't allow you to effectively express yourself. They almost shut down your ability to express yourself. So you've become someone different, pile number one. You're not even the same person that you were when you met that person. Whoever that person is, and there's a specific person, a specific situation that they're speaking to me about. I don't know what it was, but there was a specific situation with someone. They did something traumatic to you, traumatizing to you, and that changed the way that you are. Okay? That changed the way that you are. Like, you used to be one type of person. Say, for example, you were jolly, you were excited about life, you had zeal for life, you felt free, you felt like you could, do whatever. This person took that from you. It almost feels like a situation where someone did something like an abusive marriage of some sort, or relationship or some sort, is how this feels. It feels like that energy where someone, say for example, somebody deals with some type of an abusive relationship and they just, verbally abuse the spouse. Now I'm getting tired. They verbally abuse the spouse. I'll tell you about that exhaustion energy, because that's coming through. It's exhausting for you to even repeat this in your mind, what you've gone through. And that's, again, because the root of this is anger. It's almost like with this wallflower, and I'll talk about the other stuff if it comes back up, but I want to go into this. This wallflower here is almost showing up as like you've painted a picture on your wall. Okay, guys, sorry. I have no idea why my camera keeps cutting off for this reading, but okay. So the wallflower card was just showing to say that it seems as if there's something that you have taken. So basically, they were showing this as like the pain, the experience that you unfortunately had to endure. It's almost like it's being plastered on the wall as a work of art. Like a work of art. Like maybe it's become your identity, is what they're saying. Okay, so you know how when something is like, when you hang a picture on the wall in your house, it becomes something very prized and precious to you. Well, the prized, precious thing here is the anger that is embedded within you due to the experiences that you've had in life. And because of those experiences, you've allowed yourself inadvertently, without realizing it, to fall victim to those experiences rather than to uproot those seeds. Like, even if they've grown, like if they've grown into a plant, they're saying you can uproot those. You can pull them up and out, like pull it out and replant new seeds that offer you hope and inspiration and change and shifts in your energy. And they're speaking to that and saying, that is alchemy, is the ability to take these negative situations that are given to us and to shift them around in our favor by not allowing them to become us, and instead rising above. Like, this is how you shift the situation around. is you allow yourself to be grounded in who you are, not in what you went through. Okay, so that for you is going to be beneficial. It's going to be beneficial for you to rest. Oh, that's also about preservation here, guys. So preservation has a lot to do with preserving your energy for the new soil that you're being planted in. Okay, like take those old pictures off of the wall, take those old memories off of the wall. That is amazing, guys. I've never been shown that before. Take the memories off of the wall. So the old experiences that you had, whatever this situation was, you're being asked to remove the memories. And you remove the memories by planting new seeds and preserving those. So it's like anytime you get, and I'm going to keep this up here, anytime you get an idea, a thought about the past and about your experiences, about the frustration, the foolishness of what happened to you, shift it around by reminding yourself that that's not my experience now, and allow new seeds to be planted. That's not my experience. I'm moving forward. I'm thankful for the things that I went through because they've created me, helped to make me who I am now. And those old experiences are a part of my experience and my life, but they are not me. Okay? Like this is mine, but it's not me. Another part of this too, this is at the bottom of the deck, is to have confidence. Have confidence in the direction that you're heading. Be assured, and positivity, oh my God, be assured that your steps forward will not look like where you came from, and that you are protected, guarded, and safe from those experiences happening again. But it's going to be about confidence, and the number one is starting over. This is almost like the full energy showing up, right? Where you have new opportunities to establish new foundations with the home back here, to create new pictures on the wall, right? You can hang new pictures up. You can reestablish and recreate something new. And just talking about this is getting me so excited because it's like you don't have to stay in those old experiences. Just the fact that you have an opportunity is enough to fill you with excitement, right? And it's like now you're gaining these tools so you'll be able to shift this anger. But first you got to pull it out, okay? So let's keep going. Curiosity was the card that came out, okay? And this is about experience, play, uncover, and ask. And I absolutely love this. I absolutely love this. There's something about utilizing wisdom when dealing with your emotions, okay? Because your emotions are unsteady, and I'm seeing that very clearly in this. Your emotions are unsteady. Your emotions may be childlike in nature, okay? Which, let me just tell you, that's typical, okay? Because anytime you're operating from a space of like emotions to where you have outburst or where you're just avoiding them, you don't want to deal with them, whenever you're having whenever you experience emotions that are handled immaturely, it's because our inner child is wounded. Our inner child is hurting, and our inner child is scared. I don't know a child that knows how to be emotionally mature. I mean, I don't even know like a 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25-year-old that's emotionally mature. And if we're honest with ourselves, even in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we are still emotionally immature at times, right? It's emotional maturity is very hard. It's very hard. It's challenging for most people to be able to conquer because it requires a lot of healing. And the reality of it is it is attainable. It's not like it's so far-fetched that you can't get to it, but it's really about consciousness, honestly. Like it's about awareness and consistent awareness. And trust me, this is not something that I've mastered. I'm a Pisces. I want to run the heck away from my emotions and and do all this stuff. I want to ghost. I want to avoid. I want to be unconscious. I want to play the baby. I want to play the victim. I want to whine and complain, and I want to be foolish and be like, oh, why did this happen to me? So I get it. However, I will tell you that when you are able to be stable in your emotions, it does create a more calm, peaceful, and balanced life. And it does require a whole lot of balance and consistently, preserving yourself, your energy, and those emotions. One thing that I've learned is that in order for you to be able to bring balance to an emotion, because it doesn't go away, I don't think, but it's more like a balance. The one of the main ways to bring balance to an emotion is to be completely aware of what that emotion does to you. So, for example, if your emotion, the seed of your emotion is rooted in anger, what happens when you're angry? And if it's never beneficial to you to be angry, then you have to see the emotion as that, what it is, right? As this is a negative emotion. It never gives me anything good. I don't know, have you ever benefited from an emotion, from an angry emotion? And the other thing that's coming through too is in regards to the experience, and they're showing this as, how are you defining your experiences? Because they're saying in the same way that you can create the emotion of anger as being negative, 98% of the time, or whatever you want to deem it as. Also, your experience, you get to determine the positivity or negativity of your experiences. So if you're seeing the experience that we were referring to earlier in the reading as being negative and not finding anything positive in it, then you're keeping the pictures on the wall. Because if you see the picture for what it is, and you've actually benefited from it, even if that means you just have peace of mind now, if you've benefited from it, then that is an asset and not a liability. So it's like, how are you seeing those pictures on the wall? How are you deeming those experiences? Are those experiences all negative to you, or do you have positive experiences? Can you see the pain that this person caused you as being beneficial to some aspect of your life? Was there anything positive that came out of that experience? Because if so, those are the emotions that are going to provide you with stability. Right? Being able to say, you know what? I was very angry in that situation, and a lot of pain was caused to me. However, I've gained a lot of wisdom from that. So the pictures hanging on the wall that were of me when I was in that negativity, I'm going to take those down, and instead I'm going to replace them in this new space that I'm building in with positive energy. I hope that makes sense. Okay, guys. Wow. Ooh, Kairos. And then the river. The river is here about reflecting. The river is all about reflecting. What you see when you look in the mirror is an actual direct reflection of yourself. And so I want to just speak to this real quick, and then we're going to kind of look at the Kairos energy. But the river is saying that you're being asked by your team to really see yourself through a clear lens, okay? Have a clear perspective in regards to how you actually show up. So what this means is that for some of you, you could be playing into more of the victim energy and not accepting accountability for your role in a situation, okay? It doesn't have to be this one we're talking about. Obviously, if somebody did something to you, you were a child, you were vulnerable, you had anything going on, then obviously, you can blame somebody else. We can all blame somebody else for everything that's happened to us. However, It doesn't benefit us to continue to just blame them and not take accountability for our role in it if we were capable and able to. For example, if you were in a relationship with somebody who was just a really crappy person, you have to accept accountability for your actions in consenting to that relationship with them. And I had to learn this the hard way. I was married to someone for 20 years who was a just pathological cheater. I mean, like, he just couldn't stop cheating, lying, just deceptive. But guess what? I don't blame him. I can't blame him, guys, because I stayed with him even after knowing that he was this way, because the picture that I was painting on the wall was one that I was creating on my own, hoping and believing that he would change, that he would be different, that he would grow, that he would mature. But if I can tell you how I feel now, I feel so thankful for him. Oh my gosh, because my life is so much better on the other side of him. Without him. It's no offense or shade to him, guys, but how can I be angry with him when, oh my God, I'm living the life of my dreams? I wouldn't have been able to get here if I would have stayed with him. So I'm thankful for all that he did, because he pushed me away and it was intentional. But I have to accept my role in it. My role was you ding dong, you stayed there. You stayed there for years, 20 whole years. You stayed knowing that this man was this way, believing and hoping and trusting that he would change. That's no one else's fault. He didn't ask me to believe that he was going to change. He never said, please believe me that I'm different, I'm changing. He never said that. So guess what? It was my fault. Part of it was my fault. It's not my fault that he cheated. That was his fault. But guess what? It's also his fault that he doesn't have me in his life. And so I carry on. I hold my head high. I accept that, yes, I had a seed of anger, absolutely, and it was necessary to get me to the place to where I could actually begin to see him through the lens of spirit versus through my own lens. This, which brings me to this Kairos energy. There's something about the eye seeing this through a different perspective. I want to grab this book here too, because I always forget what this card means. I like to intuit, but with this deck, I like to actually kind of look at the cards and read them. But this is speaking to me, just right now in regards to being able to see things clearly. Like seeing the situation for what it is, not making it something that it's not, but also finding the beauty in it. Like, look at this eye. This eye is here, but around it is this beautiful gold embellishment. And then there's these little glimmers of hope here that are in the skin of this being, whatever it is, whether it's a lizard or a snake. And it's showing me something about just like a snake's skin, how it sheds, but also the timelessness of this embellishment here. And so there's something coming through here in the energy for you that's speaking about recognizing when it's time to release things that don't actually do you any good. You don't want to hold on to something that's not beneficial to you. Okay, let's look at this and see. Oh, this is about mythic time. Wow, and synchronicity. Oh, alignment, ease in decisions and actions. And when in dark, it's fighting against time. Wow. Okay, so let's read it real quick. We have all had the experience of timelessness, of life beyond the ticking of the clock. It may be felt as time standing still, slow motion, or losing track of time on a walk or in a lovely conversation. This is known as mythic time, and it is the territory of Kairos. This card suggests there is a secondary time continuum that goes beyond any earthly clocks and schedules. Within this non-linear realm, we access divine timing. A single moment ripens with auspiciousness, and our actions change the trajectory of our whole life. I like this. Yes, I love it. time becomes a living thing that watches over us and tells us precisely when to speak or act. When this card appears, it is all about patience and precision. No clock can guide you. Wait for the rush of inner knowing and not a moment longer. Wow. When it's in light, it's alignment. It's ease in decisions and actions. And in dark, it's fighting against time. And so for someone here, immediately, and I'm going to go into getting you some advice before we close out your reading, but immediately what I was hearing when I was reading that was that you're trying to rush healing. And I get it. Friends, I get this. I said recently in another reading that I often wondered why my journey felt so long and just exhausting, right? I was like, golly, why is my journey so freaking long? Like, how come I can't just get there? Everything seemed very hard to me. I've often found myself sitting in this discontentment energy where I was just completely dissatisfied with life. And I hated life in several moments of my life. I just hated it. When I was going through my healing and really, beginning to kind of be open to begin the healing process, it was the worst thing ever for me. Because like I said, as a Pisces, I wanted to run from all of my pain. Well, what I realized was that there's no rushing something. You have to, something like this. There's no rushing healing. And the reason why is because there are specific pieces of information that you need to collect and gather along the path. So, for example, if you're planting a seed, you need to collect your pot, collect your soil. You may need to, incubate your seeds. You may need to soak your seeds. You may need to create some type of seed soil mixture, something like that, right? There's a process for it. You need to collect and gather all of the utensils, items, tools that are needed to be able to plant this seed appropriately. And so for you right now, you may feel like you're in the incubation stage, like, oh my God, I'm just sitting, nothing's happening. And that can cause a ton of discontentment because it's like, God, what the heck? Just make something happen, right? Like, do something. Why am I sitting here and nothing's freaking happening? Why is life against me? God, why are you against me? And really what's happening is in this incubation stage is that you're being prepared for what you desire, and it's also being prepared for you. There's not a minute that you're going to be late. You're not going to be there's a saying, a minute late and a dollar short, right? Or a day late and a dollar short, however you want to say it. You're not going to miss out on anything, pile number one. I promise you. And when you arrive, when you process this healing, and when you get to your destined location, that gate there, I promise you, you're gonna be thankful for every delay that you had to endure. All of what you're seeing them as delays right now, but they're actually not. All of these delays are going to be exactly what you needed to get you to where you're going. And so you are being advised in the moment by your team to make a decision. I love this. To make a decision as to, first of all, what you want to pour into, okay? The card here is the waterfall. And it's almost like you're being asked to decide where you want to pour from. What are you most drawn to? What do you feel most connected to? What do you want to invest in? What's of significance to you? And how can you pour into yourself? Because I think your team is advising you very strongly right now to really take time to pour into yourself. I think that the most benefit for you is going to be to pour into you. You have some very powerful cards here. You'll notice I got a few tarot cards as well, and the tarot cards that you have are the Devil, the Chariot, and the Lovers. These are all major arcana, so whatever is happening in your life right now, it's massive. It's not something minor. It's definitely not something that you should minimize, and it's not something that I think you should brush off as being just something simple that you went through and not a big deal. This is a big deal, guys. 3 tarot cards, and every single one of them are major arcanas. The Moorland card here is very interesting because it's giving the energy of allowing things to fall away that need to. You'll notice that there are skulls here. Okay, so it's almost given like the energy of the Death card. So the energy of allowing the old things, the things that are the pictures on the wall to be taken down and discarded properly. Now, when you discard them, you're discarding those memories that are attached to those experiences. You're discarding the fact that your life didn't turn out the way that you wanted to. Maybe you wanted to get a job or have kids or be married by now. Whatever it is for you, whatever the situation is, you're being asked to discard your expectations, to release the need to control the narrative and to dictate how things should and shouldn't occur for you in your life. This is about surrender. I don't know what the guidebook says, guys. I try not to read the guidebooks unless I feel guided. There's specific decks. I always read the guidebook. There's other decks. I never read them. But this one here is definitely giving the energy of allowing yourself to be free from expectations. I think those expectations are not only in regards to releasing this old energy, hurt, pain, the wound around it, but there's also a ton of energy flowing through this in regards to releasing the expectations that you have for yourself. Release the need to get rid of anger. Don't do that to yourself because you're setting yourself up for failure because you're not going to ever just get rid of anger. What you can do is you can tend to these seeds, because I'm seeing this anger seed as like a baby within you that really needs some attention, some love, and some kindness. And that's why the Lovers card is here. Again, this could have been a love relationship that this specific traumatic experience is about. But this Lovers card is showing up to say that Spirit is asking you to find balance within yourself and to really fall in love with yourself in a positive light. This is all about you, pile number 1. This is amazing. To bring the emotions into balance, you're being advised to really support yourself, to show up for you, to make yourself valuable, see yourself as being worthy of being shown up for. It's interesting too because you see the Devil has this triangle on it, right? This is the Devil card here. It has this triangle, and this always reminds me of like a trumpet being blown. And then you have in the Lovers card the triangles as well, but the triangles are a different color, and there are 2. This is alignment. When the Devil is here, this is misalignment. And the interesting thing about this for you is that the misalignment is all within you and your energy and the stories that you tell yourself in regards to how negative your life has been and the experiences that you have endured. And although you're absolutely valid, correct, and not lying, your experiences have been terrible. The energy feels like you've been through hell. But the amazing thing is that the cards are showing up to say you actually don't look like it. Okay? You've been through it, but you don't look like it. And that's because deeply embedded within you is a seed of hope. And they're telling me, like the story in the Bible, it talks about all you need is faith the size of a mustard seed. There's a seed, a mustard seed within you that is jam-packed with hope that your life will shift, that things will be different for you. There's a curiosity within you that knows that there's something greater on the other side of this. And that curiosity is exactly what's going to lead you to the gate here. The interesting thing is you'll notice that the Chariot is looking in the direction of the gate. And that's because the Chariot is assisting and supporting you in moving towards a more destined and balanced energy. And oh my gosh, you guys see this? This is the same. This is a divine feminine energy here with the moons and the sun in the middle. This is a balance. There's a balance, a divine feminine energy of balance, restoration, and the ability to create. It's almost like the Empress energy is going to come out of you once you walk into this gate. What I love about the gate, though, is that all of the promises are on the other side of it. And there's this brick wall that you may have been feeling like you've been trying to beat down by getting to this energy of anger to try to bring it into balance. And the way through is not through destruction of the emotion. So you may find yourself trying to hammer through anger, like I'm just going to just stop being angry. You may find yourself getting ticked off at yourself for getting angry. And the way to rid yourself of this angry energy, the discontentment energy of feeling like life is just dissatisfying and not what you want it to be, is going to not be through pushing, forcing. That's the devil energy. Beating yourself up, setting yourself on fire when things happen is basically how they're showing it to me. It's almost like, again, that's the catastrophizing energy of when something happens, everything is happening and my whole life is going, kaput at once. Instead of allowing yourself to get to that energy, you're being asked to persevere by releasing those expectations and by preserving the positive energy that is within you. Preserve what you want to pour out of you. And that's how you're going to rid yourself of the energies that you don't want there, because essentially what you're doing is the more you pour into the positive energies that you have, the positive emotions, what you're doing is you're removing those pictures on the wall with the old and replacing them with the new, which is allowing them to flower and to bud and to sprout new seeds. And instead of creating a wall full of anger, pain, frustration, discontentment, sadness, grief, victimization, unconsciousness, avoidance, you're building a wall of peace, prosperity, blessings, beauty, joy, humility, honor, consciousness. And this is all happening based on you shifting your perspective from planting seeds of negativity to planting seeds of positivity. Wow. I'm blown away. Something about find yourself trying to act as gentle as a lamb. That's coming through very strongly, pile number 1. Be as gentle as a lamb. And they're saying this very clearly, not only with others, but with yourself. Woo! This is amazing. I hope this resonated with you. I hope this helps you. Imagine I'm like your big sister, okay? There's no judgment. There's nothing coming from my end other than love, guys. Like I said, I've sat in this energy, so I absolutely understand why you feel the way that you do. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. You're not angry to the point to where you're like the worst human being, aggressive. We all have anger. We all have anger. Allow yourself to be gentle with yourself. Please, pile number 1. You deserve everything that you desire. And you only desire it because it also desires you. If this resonates, please feel free to drop a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, everything happens in divine timing. You're on the right path. Timing is with you. Alrighty? Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye. Also, you're never alone, guys. Your team said remind them that they're never alone. Your ancestors, spirit guides, angels, God, spirit, they're always with you, protecting you and keeping you safe. Have a good night. Bye. Number 2, if you chose this pink disruption card, this is going to be your reading for what emotion needs to be brought into balance. Guys, your energy. First let me start off by saying this. Nothing that I say is not coming from a place of love. I had to give this brief introduction to pile number 1 as well, because it's very stressful to look at emotions for a lot of people, right? It can be overwhelming. It's 4:44 on the clock right now too, guys. So definitely there's a message here for you if you're here. Emotions can be stressful for us, which is why most of us don't want to look at them. We don't want to know what's going on. We don't want to feel what's going on. We're afraid that it's going to cause disruption rather than correction, and it's all based in fear. The interesting thing is that they have me speaking of fear because that's honestly the emotion of your energy. I think the root of most of your emotional imbalances is fear. Okay, this disruption energy, when I was meditating on it, I was picking up on some anxiety, and it's being like overly busy. This could be mental energy. It could be a lot of energy around feeling like you have decisions to make in life and you're just too afraid to actually do that. It's the root of your emotion is deeply, deeply, deeply embedded in fear. And they keep showing me something about being terrified of making mistakes. And it's because there were moments in your life when you may have made mistakes and people have made a big deal out of it. Like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. And so what's happened is that's created this fear within you, which prevents you from being able to be vulnerable and, almost the word that they're saying is submissive to the emotion. So there's something for you in regards to submitting to the emotion in order to clear up the disruption. They were also showing me a ton of energy around like finding places of peace in your life. They were showing that there's something about the community and the people that you keep around you. So it could be your environment, like the home that you live in, could be at work, it could just be your social circle, but there's something about your community that is attributing to this, and it's deeply rooted in the fact that you may hang around people who have the energy of disruption, and what that does in turn is kind of disrupts your energy. But for you, your emotion that your team is advising you and wanting to support you today and bringing into balance, pile number 2, is the emotion of fear. Okay, and that fear again bleeds into several areas of your life. Specifically, they're speaking to me about something about your food habits, your eating habits. Something about your eating habits is rooted in a place of fear. That's interesting. I've never seen that in a reading before. They're speaking to the fact that what you put in your body also creates and establishes clarity in your mind. For you, a lot of your work is going to be focused on clearing out your mind. They're saying clear out the gutters. You know the gutters on the top of your house? Like, I don't know if they do this in newer houses, but back in the days in old school houses, they had gutters. Yeah, new houses have gutters too, because that's how you let the water fall off the roof, right? So something about cleaning off the gutters in your house. And the gutters in your house, they're speaking, metaphorically, the gutters would be you, the container of you, the space that you are, right? The house of you. They're also speaking about chakras and bringing your chakras into balance. It's almost like your mind gets so busy that you, with worry, anxiety, maybe even some insecurities, feeling like, I think you feel very fragile and vulnerable in these moments when these things happen to you. And they keep you from being able to be in flow. They keep you from feeling empowered. They keep you from feeling energized and available and accessible to be able to operate in the spaces that you truly desire to operate in. And there's something about they're showing me the Six of Cups, something about your childhood that established this, and then it's like life events just exaggerated it. In your childhood, you could have had a parent who was extremely like judgmental, very just authoritative in nature. They could have made you feel like you just couldn't get it right. Maybe when you made mistakes as a child, they encouraged the wounds that were already there. And what they're saying by that is like, maybe you made a mistake. Say for example, you were playing an instrument and they were like, oh no, that's not right. You got to get it right. You just keep messing up, right? And for you, you're like, I'm already an artist. I'm already a perfectionist. And every time you say something, you're just triggering me more and more. And as a child, of course, you don't know that that's triggering. But what that parent may have been doing was just planting more seeds of self-doubt and self-defeat and, fear and stress and anxiety, and just creating a space to where you just never felt safe within. And it's almost as if that is bleeding into your adult life, where it shows up as you have fear. And you may live your life in pretty constant fear is how this feels, if I can be honest with you. It feels like there's a fear that is attached to a level of like shame and grief. And that's very interesting because those three things, I've not put those in the same category. Let's try to break this down. Let's try to break down what they're saying. So it's almost as if the fear has led you to feel shame. And the shame that you feel is as if you aren't good enough, as if you're inadequate, as if you're not self-sufficient, right? Like almost like you feel like you're incapable of being self-sufficient. So this means that you would more so or more than likely become people pleasing, people pleaser. You want to be codependent. You can fall into those things because you never feel like you're enough. And what that's done is led you to maybe now where you recognize like, oh my gosh, I'm constantly putting others' opinions, ideas, thoughts, desires above my own. I'm constantly neglecting myself at the sake of others, which is probably why your team was bringing up others in the channeled messages. And then what that's done is now you find yourself sitting in a state of grief, like, oh my God, why do I keep doing this to myself? However, it bleeds back into that fear because you feel inadequate and incapable of being self-sufficient because you've been trained to think that you need someone else to do something because you're incapable of being great at it yourself. Now you're grieving the fact that you, as an adult, still feel and operate as that child. Wow. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but your team is bringing it up again. I know they told me, and I don't know if I spit it out because I was saying something else, but they want to commend you. They keep telling me how brave you are. And they're saying that you're brave for showing up. And that to be brave requires courage. And it also requires some type of interest and confidence. And they're saying that they want you to recognize this because you're here. If you weren't brave, if you weren't powerful, if you weren't confident, they're showing me the Strength card, Leo energy. If you weren't those things, you would not be able to be present, pile number 2. And I'm going to tell you right now, when this card came out, I was like, I wonder who's going to pick this. You got to be bold to pick the disruption card for the emotion that you think is out of balance. And we know disruption, I mean, this can be an emotion. but I would label disruption more of an energy of like an emotion of frustration or anger or something like that, you know? It's interesting to me that your energy is absolutely like nestled in fear. But you're brave, you're courageous, and I think you need to stop and applaud yourself. Whoever you are, you're more than enough. You're not missing anything. And there's also nothing that needs to be added to you in order for you to be whole. And your team is making that very clear that you are absolutely already aligned. They said you may be waiting on alignment, but this is alignment. They're saying you are aligned. If you're here today, you're aligned. Because only one who's aligned with a higher purpose would come to a reading and be as brave and as bold as you are to choose this pile and to even be, 11, almost 12 minutes in, still listening. So let's keep going, pile number 2, because now I'm intrigued. Your energy has me intrigued. This is fascinating. Oh, guys, I'm telling you, you are a bigger deal than you're giving yourself credit for. And I understand how those childhood wounds can affect us and prevent us from really being able to see ourselves through the lens that we should see ourselves through. But I'm telling you, you are something beautiful, someone beautiful. And you should take that into consideration, even though it may be very hard for you to receive in this moment. Take it into consideration is all your team is asking you to do. And they're saying the more consideration you take to the fact that you are a gift, the more you will realize and accept that as your truth. So this eternal charisma card is amazing. And I don't know what the guidebook reads because this is a newer deck for me, but I will tell you what I'm picking up on. There's something about your ability to transform and to rise out of harmful, hurtful situations, out of abusive situations is coming through, and out of situations and experiences that constantly shove you beneath the surface is metaphorically how they're showing it. Okay. I don't know how old you are. You may not know what this is, but they're showing me the Hungry Hippo game, and there's a Hungry Hippo game that you can play where you kind of hit the heads of the hippo and they fall underneath the surface, and it's almost like people have done that to you. Okay, you have been constantly hit by life events, experiences to minimize your appearance and push you below the surface. Okay, they're showing me a lot of Leo energy, so I don't know if you are a Leo, if you have that somewhere in your chart. Check your chart and see if you have Leo in the first house, because if you have Leo in the first house, then that would absolutely explain why there are challenges around your self-image, and these challenges are again rooted in fear. Their fear of being insignificant. Okay, so the eternal charisma is just showing how you have this beauty of your energy. You could be physically beautiful as well, but this is energetically that I'm picking up on this. Your beauty, your energy has a beauty that is timeless. Okay, eternal we know means forever. This is forever. And the charisma, I'm not reading this as like, oh, you're charismatic, which you could be, but instead it's reading to me as there's something about your energy that has long-lasting beauty. It's almost like the energy of longevity that is within you. I feel like your reading really is like your team just wants me to encourage and motivate you in regards to like who you actually are. I think you just need some confidence, guys. Like, that's how I feel. I feel like this reading just wants to like be used as a space to build your confidence up so that you can work on just feeling better about yourself, and in the process being able to release the fears that are attached to your experiences. Okay, so it really feels like your team wants to just motivate you, inspire you, bring a spark of genius into your life so that you can see how fantastic you are as an individual, and then that seems to be the space that they'll build on in order to release the fear. You know, fear, I'm going to talk about these other cards and this other card in a second, but I want to just go back here. They're bringing me back here. Fear is an interesting emotion to feel because it's typically connected to something that has been, like they're showing me a factory, created or generated within us. Not something that we were necessarily born with, but something that is factory, it's created in a factory. You know, like, does that make sense? I hope it does. But it's like it's fear, and the fear for you in particular is rooted in some type of something that was created. This was created by a story that someone else told you, or someone else, you know, made you feel. I'm always cautious when I say made you feel, because people don't technically have the ability to make you feel anyway. But specifically when you're a child, absolutely, you don't know how to feel anything. So if someone is projecting, you're going to take that on as if it belongs to you, because you don't even know what projection is. So I think you get what I'm saying, though. So anyways, back to the eternal charisma. They were just showing that the fear was layered on you, and that the fear is attached to several areas of your life that affect you and prevent you from being able to be seen through this clear lens. So let's see if we can break that down. I'm going to write this note down. So I'm writing down, how can you see yourself with clarity? Because I want to ask that when we start pulling the tarot cards, because they're given a lot of info, but what I always intend to do with these readings is to give you something practical to walk away with that you can actually utilize, because it doesn't benefit you or me if we're here and you're not able to gain tools and resources that will actually support you when you leave this reading. If this reading is here just to scratch your ears, I don't want to be here. I want to be able to provide you with practical resources to change your life. And so there's dots that need to be connected here, and they're showing that they will connect those dots for us. There's something in your lineage in regards to like tribal energy. So this would be like African tribes, Native tribes, like Native American tribes. There's something like that coming through in your ancestral lineage, something about a tribe and a village, and that those were key markers that attributed to the energy of fear that's deeply rooted and embedded in you. And how, I don't know yet, guys. So hopefully they'll give us some insight into that. If not, they'll show us whatever it is that they feel we need to know. But they're also showing me this alignment here with the arrows. They're showing that this is your journey to alignment. And you may have to go backwards to history, your ancestral lineage, to be able to find the root of this ancestral karma and to clear it out. But this is also too why the Eternal Charisma card came out for you, because they're showing in order for you to be selected to clear out your ancestral karma, there has to be something in your energy that is able to cleanse the energy once and for all, because they wouldn't choose you, they wouldn't select you, you wouldn't be, a selection. That's the best way to describe it, if they didn't see fit for you to bring this into clarity. But this is also something, this fear is something that's been hanging around. Okay, they're showing me a hanger. It's something that's been hanging around you and your ancestors for long enough. And it's almost like it's a cloud that just kind of hovers over your energy. And this is affecting you in more ways than one. So they're saying that you may not have even gone after things that you truly desired in life because of this fear. So maybe, for example, you wanted to go to school and be, maybe we were talking about music earlier, right? So maybe you wanted to be a singer or an artist of some sort, right? Play in an orchestra, something like that, because they were showing me instruments earlier. So maybe you wanted to be a musician of some sort or an artist of some sort, but because of this fear that was embedded in you, implanted in you, manufactured into you as a child, you were not able to actually move forward in any of these options to become an artist, musician, or the, you know, something like that along those lines, whatever it may be for you, because you were too afraid that you were going to fail. Because that seed had been planted in you that you were not good enough to succeed. Okay, the card that you got out is the depth card, which is about the lake. I don't know what this deck means either, what the guidebook means. If you watch my readings, you know I like to be an intuitive reader. I like to just give the messages that your team wants you to know. I will read the guidebook if I feel led to, but what I was picking up on this, and I don't know if you noticed, I was very like stuck on the energy within the card because there's so much depth here. And I think this is aligned with your reading. The fear that you have, immediately they're showing me, the fear that you have has so much depth to it because it's meant to be a space where you can operate from as a jewel. Okay, so let me tell you how they're showing this. So you are operating from a space of fear in areas of your life. It's preventing you from being vulnerable. However, when you can tap into that space where fear is present and you're able to acknowledge fear, when you're able to sit with fear, when you're able to intuitively pick up on fear and align to that emotion, allowing yourself to receive the fear, process it, you're going to recognize that there are pearls and jewels. There's like gifts. It's treasures. There's treasures, prizes, hidden wisdom, information, and knowledge in the depth of those fears that is transformational to not only your life, but to others. And the reason why this fear has been holding you back for so long, pile number 2, is because they know, they being the adversary that planted this seed in you, knows that if your shadow self is able to overcome these fears, that you will be a force to be reckoned with. Let me just put it that way. So wherever there's light, there's also darkness. And so you have been sitting in this space of darkness without realizing it. That's that cloud that they were showing earlier. Because you have so much to offer. And it's a tactic to keep you trapped, to keep you stuck. It's almost like your inner child is terrified to see the light of day, to come up for air, because you're afraid of what the sunshine might feel like. So you almost put a break or a pause on any successes that may come your way because you feel like they're going to force you to go too deep. And you're afraid of the deep. You're afraid of the depth. I think you know that there's treasures in the depths of you. You know that there's treasures underneath the surface. You know that there's treasures in stability, in consistency. But that creates this disruption in your energy. And your energy feels disrupted because of your fears around being fragile and vulnerable. So instead you run. You more than likely are a runner. When something happens, you probably don't like to deal with it. You probably just want to sweep it under the rug and just, okay, forget it. Nope. I'm gone. I don't like the way he was talking to me. I'm leaving. Now I'm interested to see what this Eternal Charisma card reads in the book. Let's look. Okay. Wow. Okay, guys. So if you want to screenshot it, feel free to. You are captivating and have a charming personality that attracts others. You are charismatic and you radiate with a luminous glow. You have so much to offer. Believe in yourself and what you stand for, and don't be afraid to share your vision. Be a social butterfly and make connections with others as you pursue your dreams. Channel your strength, but don't be scared to show your vulnerability. No way, guys. Bruh. Eternal charisma forms within. It is not defined by money or age. Charismatic souls are genuinely interested in the people around them and make everyone feel special. See, that's what you are. That's why you're a people pleaser and codependent, because you naturally have this ability. But what you're doing is you're expending all of your energy on making everyone else feel special. And you do that because you don't feel special. But you don't feel special because you are attached to fear. It's almost like they're showing this as fear being like attached to you, like a ball and chain being attached to your ankles. And you're most comfortable with the weight of fear attached to you than the release of it. And I'm hearing someone say, I want to be free. I want to be free, but I don't know how. And don't worry, your team's going to give you an answer. By the time this is over, this reading, you're going to have answers to assist and support you on how to be free, pile number 2. I'm sorry that you're experiencing this in such a painful way, and I am not sorry that you're experiencing this in such a painful way, because I recognize that this is absolutely your way out. So you have 2 crystals. You have the moonstone and the obsidian, and we are going to read these at the end of the reading. But what I want to say is right away, and I don't know what these stones mean, and I've read the book, but I don't know what they mean off the top of my head. I have too many books, guys, to know. Too many guidebooks. But right away, intuitively, what I'm picking up on with this obsidian is that you're going to break through this. You see how like this individual is like flying free, but he had to break through so much thick energy that was heavy, that was a weight and a burden. And this obsidian energy is showing up as you breaking through to finally create space for your new life, for your life that is exempt from this fear operating as the primary emotion. This is going to be brought into balance. Moonstone is showing up as the energy that's bringing in clarity. It's almost like you're going to receive divine guidance and clarity through your intuition when you're able to accept the fact that this has been running your life and that you've basically given your power over to these fears. And your breakthrough is going to happen by means of clarity. So, you may be thinking like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. There's so much that I have to break out of. And your team is like, all you got to do is acknowledge it. And we're going to connect the dots for you. That obsidian energy is powerful as heck. And that moonstone energy is literally like a lightning strike that is going to break through the energy that is disruptive to you. And instead, it's going to shift you into the energy of finding pearls in the depths of you. Okay, so let's look here and see what wants to come out. And I'll ask that question afterwards, okay? The 5 of Wands. Yeah. That 5 of Wands energy is fear in action, because what happens is when we're afraid, we tend to deflect or escape. Okay, wow. I'm going to get one more card here. Wow. Yeah. Okay. The bottom of the deck energy is the Eight of Swords. So this is where you probably find yourself often. Honestly, this Eight of Swords is the same energy as that disruption card. And this is the energy of constantly feeling like you have to fight your way out of this mental anguish. The Five of Wands for me is also, although this is action, this can come out in the way that you interact with the world. You may find yourself to be very angry, irritated, tense. You may feel vengeful. You may feel very defensive. This is the energy of someone who goes outside and feels like the world is against you. And you may find yourself reacting in that, right? Anger comes with rage. This energy is bleeding out of you because this energy is what's in your mind with that Eight of Swords there. You're constantly at war with yourself based on your fears around failing. And you may be thinking like, God, I don't even care that much about failing, but you do. You do. And I'm not telling you that you're not right. I'm saying you do, but I don't think it shows up in the way that you may think. Like maybe you're thinking if I was afraid, I wouldn't get out and go to the store by myself, or, but it's more so like you're afraid in your mind. So this halts you from taking risk. So when fear is present, it's the opposite of believing in a higher power, right? So faith over fear. We hear that all the time. When you operate from a space of fear, you don't trust that things are going right for you in life. You immediately, as soon as something happens, you can find yourself catastrophizing. Like, oh my God, how am I going to figure this out? Oh, I have to pay $3,000 to get my car fixed. I don't have that money. Where am I going to get more from? It's an immediate response that is negative to anything happening that isn't a surprise of rainbows and butterflies. That's fear. And with the Two of Swords here, this is showing up as you may even be blocking out any other experiences that don't stem from a space of negativity. So that can show up as, oh, girl, you look beautiful today. Do I? No way, no. You see that? How you're rejecting the good things that come to you because you're afraid that they're not going to stay. Now that's coming through. There's something about safety here. Well, we were talking about being unsafe earlier. They were bringing that through. So the fear of not being safe in being seen can prevent you from showing up in spaces where you should be seen. And then you have Judgment. You got powerful, powerful cards here, guys. Judgment is showing up to say that you're being called out. That's how I'm reading this for you right now. Like your team is calling you out. They're wanting you to rise rather than to sink. That makes perfect sense considering how they were showing the depth in the lake there. If you have shackles on your ankles, you're being pulled down. Your team is saying, we need you to come up, release the shackles, because they're showing that all you have to do is like flip the little clip on the ankle latch and you would be freed. But there's something about you actually doing this. And I'm being called to look at this Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is showing up as one who's gone through hell and is extremely guarded in a way to defend and protect yourself. But the Queen of Swords is actually very wise. She's very smart. And she usually sees the bigger picture when she's in balance. When she's imbalanced, I was saying I in balance. Sorry, I know that sounded the same. But when she's imbalanced, She sees nothing but her own wounds, her heartbreak, her pain, her fears, her sorrows, her worries. She's overwhelmed in her mind because she doesn't see better. And I think that this is showing up to say that you may have been operating in this space of feeling like you have to consistently defend yourself because maybe the people who were supposed to defend you didn't. Maybe the people who were supposed to defend you were the ones that made you feel unsafe. Maybe you've been victimized one too many times in your life and you're sick of it. Maybe you're most comfortable in the energy of disruption, which is rooted in fear, because you're afraid to step into the spotlight and be victimized. And when I say spotlight, I'm not saying that you have to be famous or seen like, by the world. This is being seen in your home, just in your own private space. How can you allow yourself to be seen? Wow, that was actually the question I wrote down. I wrote down, how can you see yourself with clarity? So let's look at that. You see this strength card here at the bottom of the deck? I know it was looking like it was showing up in the reverse. I'm going to keep that there, but I don't read reversals. So how can pile number 2 see themselves clearly? I mean, clearly you have the energy of vibrancy here. The Moonstone card is probably going to help us with that too, because that's definitely giving me the energy of clarity. How can pile number 2 see themselves clearly, with clarity? Oh, I love this. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Wow, I love this. Okay, so the 10 of Wands is at the bottom of the deck here. In order to see yourself clearly, the first thing that they're saying, and to see yourself with clarity rather than restriction, is the first piece of advice is to release the attachments that you have to others. They're showing this 10 of Wands as someone who's bound to the ideas that others provide them with. They're asking you to establish your own identity. And that's speaking even clearer and louder with this Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands, when she's in her shadow self, she lacks confidence, she lacks esteem, she feels insecure and incapable of being one that should be seen. She bows down to the needs of others rather than putting her own needs first. So they're saying to release the attachments that you have to others and to stand on your own as an independent. Obviously, the Queen of Wands has a King of Wands, but I often see the King and Queen of Wands as like a couple who operates independently, because both of those energies, the King and Queen of Wands, are very, very, very independent energies to me. I mean, to me, probably next to, I would say that the Queen of Swords and King of Swords are probably neck and neck with the Wands for me, as far as my beliefs in regards to those energies being very independent. So there's something for you about finding a crown, like recrowning yourself as the main character of your life. It's reframing your mindset and your identity around yourself. Like, make yourself the main character, the main priority, the main focus. This is really like encouraging you to make your life about you. Because I think that based on the energy here, I think you've given so much of yourself away, and that's left you wounded. And now those wounds are keeping you stuck, trapped. And I think initially, like we discussed earlier, those initial seeds were not planted by, your adulthood experiences. They were planted somewhere in childhood. But now you have the opportunity to be able to adjust and shift those things around. The Ten of Cups is showing up to say, in order to see yourself clearly, find more joy in your presence, find more happiness, believe in dreams, believe in the unbelievable, unthinkable. Find the things that you as a child used to dream about and redream them. The Ten of Cups is all about like happy life, fulfillment, emotional satisfaction, being happy and content with just enjoying life. And this doesn't have to be about a marriage, a partnership, a connection, or even a family in the sense of, what is typically shown in a Ten of Cups traditional tarot card. That's not what the Ten of Cups is about for me. The Ten of Cups is about finding fulfillment emotionally. But your team is saying clearly the only way you're going to find that, pile number 2, is through yourself, your own independence, and the confidence in yourself. So it's almost like they're advising you to reparent your inner child through charisma. Oh yeah, they are so, oh my God, I love this. They're saying in that same way that you are charismatic in your interactions with others, in the same way that you build everybody else up and make them feel like they're the most amazing individuals in the world, give that to yourself. And they're saying that by this, guys. Look at this King of Cups. The King of Cups is the most emotionally balanced individual in the deck. So the amazing thing about you showing up with the energy of the Queen of Swords is that if you can balance out the Queen of Swords and the King of Cups energy, you're going to be rocking it. Because the King of Cups is emotionally balanced. He's also emotionally available and inaccessible, okay? And that's the balance. Interesting thing is these cards can kind of go hand in hand. This is the Six of Pentacles, and this is all about finding a balance. So what they're saying is with the King of Cups, Six of Pentacles here, is to find balance in how much you give and how much you receive. If you find yourself overgiving, the King of Cups is not going to do that. He's going to pull back. He's not going to overgive. The Six of Pentacles is also not going to receive, pennies. The Six of Pentacles is going to say, I need balance and I need reciprocity in all of my relationships, in all of my connections, in any interactions that I have. I need it to be balanced, because there's something here showing that is a part of the challenge with you really seeing yourself clearly, and that's because you don't have the emotional balance to be able to actually see things clearly. And it's because it's deeply rooted in this fear that you have of feeling insignificant. And so what's happened is it's almost like you've taken on the energy of being a disruption yourself. And you're like, oh, I can't require that people give back to me, because if so, I may really be insignificant, because maybe no one's going to actually want me. If I make a mistake, I'm going to push people away because I'm too insignificant to have true connections and relationships where people will reciprocate to me. Guys, this is deep as heck. I hope it's making sense to you. It's blowing my mind. So your advice to see yourself clearly is to see yourself through the lens of love, to see yourself through the lens of confidence, to see yourself through the lens of one who is deserving of reciprocity, of balance, and one who also is deserving of having connections around you that are fulfilling. The Ten of Cups, they're also saying that you should really see yourself through the lens of someone who's deserving of fulfillment, happiness, joy, and satisfaction. And in order to see yourself clearly, you're going to have to go back to the imbalances and stabilize them through reciprocity. Okay, so that, I think that's like great, like that makes perfect sense, is that your relationships and interactions with others have to be reciprocal in order for this fear to dissipate. The fear is not going to go away if you don't have clarity and see things through the lens of clarity, because they're showing me like rose-colored glasses, so you may tend to brush over people's flaws and mistakes being optimistic because maybe no one was optimistic with you, and you're like, I don't want them to feel like I felt, so now I want to be optimistic with them. But the reality of it is that that optimism could actually be enabling your fears, because you may be optimistic in fear of losing or feeling unsafe within yourself. I hope that this makes sense, because there's something about the fear connected to vulnerability. You're protecting yourself from being vulnerable, but you're over giving to keep yourself from being vulnerable as well. Okay, let me read the cards. I'm hoping that this makes sense. I hope that that was good advice too. Your team is saying it is. They said you know exactly what I'm saying, even if I don't know what I'm saying, guys. Sometimes I'm like, I have no idea. I hope you guys get this. But as your team, they're here for you, not for me. As long as you get it, I'm here for it. So I'm not going to read the whole message, but this moonstone is about intuition, insight, inner wisdom, and inner voice. Inner knowing, inner sensing, these are the talents that the conscious universe has bestowed upon us, of all of us. But we have been conditioned to minimize their importance and instead pay more attention to the knowing that comes from experiencing life through our physical senses and logical analysis. Yeah, I think you do a lot of analyzing logically and missing the feeling of, do you hone your intuition? Do you trust it even when you can't point to a logical reason why you know what you know? Your message from Moonstone Spirit is to tune in and listen to your intuition. It will speak to you through an inner voice, an inner vision, an inner sensation that feels real because, well, it is. It has many ways of communicating to you. Now is a time to pull back the veil between the visible and invisible worlds and trust that the hidden reality matters, and know that your intuition comes from the conscious universe, which possesses wisdom, knowledge, and understanding far beyond your own. Wow. See, that's that fear too. Fear preventing you from being able to trust others. Okay? So that's coming through as well. This is the second, third, fourth pages. And then I'm going to look at Moonstone. I'm going to look at Obsidian. I'm not going to read it. Wow, guys, just look at the header. Okay, I want you to take a picture so you can read this. Essential meaning is observing the self-reflection, and know thyself. And that's what they were saying. They want you to recrown yourself. That is amazing. Wow. Your team is really showing up for you. If you want to take a picture of this page, feel free to. I'm going to go to the second 2 pages, last 2 pages. Feel free to take a picture. Pile number 2, this is your reading and the emotion that your team is advising you to bring into balance. I hope that this helped. Just remember how amazing you are, how phenomenal you are, and how you are the only one who has the ability and the power to shift this. Have a great night. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you wouldn't mind dropping a comment, liking, and subscribing, that would be fantastic as well. Have a good night, pile number 2. Bye. Hi, pile number 3. If you chose the flow card, these are your messages in regards to which emotion your team is asking and wanting to support you in bringing into balance, okay? Okay, number 3. So let's get into the reading. I am going to intuitively pick up on channeled messages. I already was picking up on some channeled messages for you, honestly. Initially, I was picking up on the energy of depression, but the depression feels like, so my intention here is to be like a big sister talking to you. You know, your big sister is always going to be honest with you, almost always, right? Not always. Some big sisters are like, whatever, I don't care. But if I were your big sister, I would be honest with you. I would just tell you, exactly what it is that I'm seeing. And if you didn't like it, I would just pray about it, right? Like, there's a big sister energy that is going to come through me today, which will be very honest, very straightforward, and very direct. The channeled messages in the first 2 readings and the messages in general were extremely powerful and honestly very direct, straightforward, exactly what I'm giving you now. I'm just kind of prefacing with this because I want you to know that if you've watched any of my readings, I hope you understand this. You probably already know this, but everything I do is because I love you and I want you to be able to be set free and redeemed from those things that have been holding you back. Okay, true freedom comes by means of finding internal joy. And for your energy, I was picking up on depressive energy that may be rooted in some sort of shame or like an aversion energy. Like maybe when you feel something that you deem to be negative, when you have an emotion pop up that you may deem to be negative, you may tend to feel shame attached to that. You may find yourself trying to avoid, or again, the aversion type energy where you may try to expel or get out of that situation just so that you don't have to feel those emotions. But it's rooted in some type of shame in regards to the way that you see yourself. Okay, now what happens typically when we feel the energy of shame is it can happen several different ways. Obviously these are emotions, right? But a lot of the times, and in your energy in specific, what I'm picking up on is that this is rooted to some type of betrayal that you've experienced in life, whether through family betrayal, parental betrayals, relationship betrayals, employer betrayals is coming through. Any type of betrayals that you have experienced has led you to feel like something was wrong with you. Okay, this is how they're showing this. They've shown me this before in a reading, but it's like the teeter-totter effect. So what happens is when someone does something to you, they would typically carry the weight of that. But what's inadvertently happened, probably rooted in another, like attached to another childhood wound of yours, is that you took on the weight. So it got like reversed, right? So now the person who did this to you, they're not worrying about it. You took it on as if it were yours, and you kind of relieve the pressure from them. But what that does is keeps you from this state here, which is flow. See, flow is non-resistant. Flow is the ability to just allow things to be what they are, right? So for example, if you were in a terrible connection, you were mistreated, if you were in the energy of flow, you would just allow that situation to dissipate with the understanding that this cannot be because of whatever the reason is. Now, if you, based on your personality, I'm already picking up on this, that you're the type that needs an explanation. You want to know why. Why couldn't this be? Okay, well, maybe this couldn't be because, and this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. I'm just using this as an example. It could be, again, familial. It could be connected to your job, your employer, etc. A business deal, maybe a business that you owned, whatever the situation is for you, it couldn't work out because it wasn't for your highest good. It wasn't aligned with where you're going, okay? And sometimes I think that just in general, for all of us, me included, when we have traumatic experiences take place in our lives and we have to reroute or see things through a different lens or see life through a completely different picture. Like, I'll use myself as an example. When I was going through my divorce, I felt like I was the problem. And obviously I contributed to the divorce, right? No situations just break up by, one person being completely wrong. However, I didn't do the things that led to the mistrust and, you know, the lack of being able to communicate and say, you know, here's the truth. Like I didn't necessarily lead to that. I contributed to it. And a part of what happens is, like, immediately I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be like like shamed because and humiliated, right? Because I'm supposed to be married for the rest of my life because I came from that type of, you know, environment where at church with my grandmother, she was very, very, very old school, you know, born in the 20s. So 20s, 30s. So she was very much like, no, you get married once, you stay married. And I had a hard time with, you know, really recovering within myself from feeling like I, you know, was doing something wrong. And I'm using this as an example to show that that's, excuse me, resistance to the flow, okay? That's resistance to the flow. And it's also an aversion. I was averting from the actual issue. I think that's a word, averting. Okay, guys, sorry. I had to look that up. I was like, am I saying this right? Or is it something else that they're telling me? And sometimes I have a hard time like picking up on specific words. But yeah, averting is not a word, so don't use it. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say was that I was trying to do whatever I could to avoid the shame and humiliation that I felt in not being able to, you know, stay in a relationship that I thought was supposed to be present for the rest of my life. So what I'm picking up on from you is, and the word aversion, I looked it up to make sure that I wasn't misspeaking about it too, which I think I was, but it's dissatisfaction, distaste, hostility, loathing, opposition, unwillingness, and reluctance. And I think that that's exactly the energy that I'm picking up here, is that there's some reluctancy within your energy based on, so you're reluctant to go with the flow based on the shame that you feel in regards to previous situations not working out as you expected or anticipated them to. Okay, so let me just do some channeled messages with the flow card. Let's get here. Obviously I've been given them, but I'm going to give a little more. We'll see if we get anything else. Okay, so they're showing me right away with like the polka dots and the waves here that you had an idea that your life was going to be like this polka dotted pattern throughout. And then when the waves came through, which was whatever experience or experiences you've had that were like awful, terrible experiences to you, right? Like basically they tainted your perspective on the world and your view of the world, maybe your view on love, your view on, you know, business, relationship, connections, partnerships, whatever this is. When these things happened, they came in and it's almost like they put a damper in your entire perspective of the world around you. So now from that point on, you carry like this it's almost like a disgust, like you're just like, ugh, you just don't like, and you just don't approve of anything in life because this thing didn't happen. And I'm hearing this one thing didn't work out the way that you desired it to. And what that does is it keeps you in a stagnant energy. So here's what they're showing. It's almost like when you flow downstream, things just naturally go. When you try to go upstream, you're pushing against, you're resisting the natural flow state of life. And I think that your message here is going to be big on the emphasis that things didn't turn out the way that you desired them to, because there's something better, okay? And I think that your aversion to change, because that's exactly what this is. Again, it's deeply rooted in the emotion of shame. This emotion of shame has some attachment to embarrassment. That's coming through for sure. So you may feel embarrassed by whatever this situation is not working out. There's also some embarrassment attached to like how your life has turned out. And what they're giving me as an example is like maybe someone had like a child and you had a child with someone that you were like, oh my God, I didn't know that they were that way. And then you feel some type of guilt or shame. You carry this level of like embarrassment. Or maybe you had children, you were married when you had children, now you're separated and you have to raise your children. You're like, oh my God, my last name is different. It's something like that coming through where it was a drastic change for you. It doesn't have to be that specific scenario, but it was a drastic change for you. And whatever the change was that occurred has led to you carrying some weight of shame, humiliation, embarrassment. Like your perspective has been tainted of the world due to this experience. And then you feel like it's your fault, and it's not. Your team is making that very clear. This is not your fault. What is your fault? And they're telling me this very clearly. They're almost screaming it in my ear. It's like they're blowing like a horn, you know? They're saying what is your fault is how you move forward. Because the only thing that you have control over is yourself, your emotions, and the way that you respond to the negative things that take place. And they want to soften the energy here by letting you know that you're doing the right thing. You're moving in the right direction. Even through your resistance, they're showing someone who has an extreme strength. So like, you know how they were showing someone push upstream? You're going upstream, but you are powerful and strong. Your will is strong. And they're showing that strong will is meant to be a force in a positive direction, right? Like you're meant to take that strong will that you naturally have, your ability to be able to be determined to not quit, right? The brave energy that you operate in is meant to be empowering to you and those around you. But it's being misused in this moment due to this shame. And there's almost like they're showing me someone sitting in a tent. So it's almost like you keep yourself guarded, protected, not allowing access to anyone. They're almost showing me like a hermit, but this is like hermit mode that's severe, to where it seems like you only want to communicate with like a couple of people. And that's not safe for you, pile number 3. It's not safe for you, because the unfortunate thing and fortunate thing, right? It's unfortunate when you've been hurt, and I understand this very well. It's unfortunate when we're hurt. But what's more unfortunate is that we take that hurt and don't allow it to create new spaces that can heal that hurt. Okay? So what they're saying with that is the only way that you can actually heal is to allow space for new to come in. And that means reopening yourself up. It's almost like you're going to reopen that wound. They're taking me back to these times when I used to talk about wound care. So as in my day job, I'm a nurse, and wound care is directly connected to healing, to emotional healing, spiritual healing, energetic healing. Because when you assess the wound, you have to touch it. You have to lay eyes on it, and sometimes laying eyes on it and assessing it also requires that you physically touch it. And so for you, you're going to have to physically touch these wounds that you've had, that you've been holding on to, trying to protect, because it's almost like they're showing me someone who has a bed sore, and it's like you have a hole in your back this big, and it's deep. You can actually stick your finger in it. But what you've done is you've covered it up with a Band-Aid. It's like you've taken gauze and covered it up and put tape over it, and you just continue you're not even packing it. You're just covering it up because you want to escape by pretending as if it's not there. And this is that avoidant energy that they were showing me earlier. And it's because it's uncomfortable for you, which you're totally normal to feel that way, guys. There's nothing wrong with you. Any of us that have wounds tend to do this. This is normal. I honestly would go as far as to say that anybody who is doing true healing initially wants to avoid those wounds. Because for all of us, they hurt. They're painful. And touching them is going to make them hurt worse. However, the other side of that is once you touch them, especially if you're scraping, or in the operating room, we would do a debridement, right? Where you go in and you just clean off the surface, right? So allowing the surface to be cleansed away or wiped away, essentially, metaphorically, I'm just using it as an example. If you wipe off the top layer of that wound, you're going to open it up, and with blood, you're going to see red blood cells starting to regenerate, and healing comes from the inside out. And it's the same thing that you're doing. You're healing yourself from the inside out. So yes, it's going to be painful. You're going to feel those wounds being debrided and scraped, and, removing that top layer is extremely painful. However, the benefit is that you're going to allow yourself to open up to a brand new perspective. And from that point on, you'll be able to tend to that wound, but not with an avoidant energy, right? That aversion energy. You're not going to operate in that space once you expose the wound, because you're going to recognize that this wound, and it's the same thing with a patient who has a bed sore. It can be very shameful and humiliating for patients who have bed sores, who are cognizant of the bed sores, because they're like, oh my gosh, I have this. Yes, it can be painful at some points in some stages, but then they're like, I have this hole in my back, and somebody has to touch me, and you're going to see my body, and it's vulnerable. But once you get it cared for, tended to, you can begin the process of true healing. And so for you, pile number 3, this is going to be the toughest part for you, is removing that Band-Aid from this wound and emotion of shame that you're carrying. Okay, let's see what we can get. Wow, these two wanted to come. I'm going to pull them out. I want to show you this first, this visionary card at the bottom of the deck. And I don't know what the guidebook says, and I'm not going to read it. I'm going to intuitively tell you what I'm picking up on. But this is a newer deck for me, and it's absolutely beautiful. You see this visionary card. This is your energy, and this is how they were showing you earlier as one who has a vision for greater. And I think that you are aware of that. I think it's just easier for you to stay in this energy, because it allows you some, the best way to say it, guys, is it allows you a way out, okay? It allows you the opportunity to avoid dealing with the true issue here, which now, yes, those other parties, they did you wrong. Whatever they did was not okay, right? We know right from wrong. Whatever it was, you can validate that, and you can be validated by your team in the fact that, yes, it was wrong. There's no minimizing it. There's no shrinking it. There's no acting as if it didn't happen. But for some reason, they're singing Beyonce to me. The best revenge is your paper. That's what they're saying. And essentially what they're saying is the best way to make someone hurt by not doing right by you is to grow up, glow up, to become one who is an inspiration, to operate in your passions, and to love again. I mean, to me, the winning for the other party, if they mistreated you in a partnership and you know that your intentions were pure. First, I think that we all have to accept accountability. This is me speaking, not your team. I think that we all have to accept accountability for our role in any type of connection, relationship that don't actually work out. I think we have to accept our role in that space, because no one does something on their own. The other part of that, and this is your team speaking, is that you have to desire to want to do more with your life than to just sit in the energy of avoiding. And for me, honestly, one of the major things, they're telling me to share this with you, but one of the major challenges for me in healing was growing up, maturing. And I know someone could think like, what the heck? But it's just not the way that I was built. Like, I just didn't want to grow up. And if I can be honest, like in my household, I don't think that that was really cultivated. Like my mom, you know, even now she'll even laugh and say, well, shoot, I don't blame you. You know, I don't want to grow up either. You know, it's like we just were very, like, I guess you could say kind of sheltered, but not really, to the point to where we just wanted to just be delusional and in la la land. Okay, that's the bottom line. And I think for you, you may find yourself operating in this delusional state, but it's a way to keep yourself safe, because look at this deep dive card. Look at her face. Can you see the look on her face? She absolutely is operating from this same energy. There's a fear to actually grab a hold. She won't let herself go all the way deep. So maybe this is part of your challenge, is that you won't let yourself go all the way in. All the way in, not end. I don't know why that came out that way. You may find yourself beginning to initiate healing, and then you stop yourself. You may decide that you're going to take a look at the things that are fractured or cracked in your life, and then you stop. And it's a stopping due to some fears, because with the ferryman here, what I was picking up on with him is that you're almost sitting like in your emotions, but allowing them to drown you rather than for you to take control over them. This feels like an energy of someone who's just kind of sitting and sulking in their emotions. So you may find yourself sulking in this, you know, energy of shame. And one thing that I've had to learn, and this was very hard, especially when you are immature, and that's, for me, I was just immature. I don't know if you are. It's just coming through in your reading, so I'm sharing it. I was very immature. Like I said, I just wanted to live in delusion. I wanted to just be like, oh, well, things are going to change. You know, this will work out. Very overly optimistic, and really to the point of, like I said, delusion. But what I had to learn was that I can't allow myself to sulk in my emotions, because they are negative. When I'm sulking, it's negative. It's not, I'm not I don't know about you guys. I'm laughing because it's so funny to me. I do not find myself sulking in positive emotions. I'm not sulking in joy and love and freedom and how grounded I am. And oh, look at me. I'm okay to be seen. You know, I'm not sulking in those energies. I'm not sulking in acceptance of myself. You know, like, I have to work with myself to keep myself in those energies, and it requires that I do a lot of meditating, do a lot of time. I spend a lot of time alone, pulling back my energy, withdrawing myself from anything and anyone around me. I do a lot of like outside time, spending time in nature, grounding myself, going for drives, sitting on my patio, whatever I need to do. So for you, these things are going to be beneficial to you, because I'm seeing you as having some of the same challenges as me, to where you find yourself sulking in your emotions for far too long, and then they become you. You'll notice that this card has this moon. The moon is taking up almost more space than anything else in the card. And that's what they're showing me, is that your emotions are taking up more space than they should. You're allowing yourself to sit in those emotions for way too long. You'll also notice here in this deep dive card that in the deep dive, if you're going underwater, you can typically only hold your breath for, you know, I don't know, what's the longest somebody's held their breath? Maybe 2 minutes or so, some type of, you know, Olympian or something like that. I'm going to fix the camera for you so you can see these. And they're showing me that you've been holding your breath for too long. You've been holding your breath for too long, meaning you've been trying to hold on to something that needs to be released for far too long, pile number 3. And this is this shame. The shame is ready. It's ready. It's like, please let me loose. The shame wants to be released from you. However, it can't be released through avoidance. You're going to have to face this head on. Okay? Wow, look at this, guys. You have this expansion energy with the ritual, dance, feast, and fire. This is fantastic. I love this. Oh my gosh. I love this, guys, because this energy is showing up as your team trying to expand you. And a part of expansion, and expansion for you is involving, I have to call this out because I'm seeing it, it's involving new community members. This is showing up as a fox, and foxes typically operate in, or like a wolf, they operate in packs. Okay, that's how they were showing. I'm like, look, fox, is it a fox or a wolf? But whatever it is, they're showing this as an animal that represents community for you. And so for you, your community is wanting to be drawn into you, but it's almost like the moth here, you keep turning the light off. Okay, so in order for you to be aligned with the right people in your life, because that's a thing. See, I think you find yourself isolating and not wanting to be bothered with people based on trust issues that you have that are rooted in this shame. For someone here, there's a father wound around shame, an absent father, and you have carried the weight of the shame of his absence. Okay, that's coming through very heavily right now. And if that was you, just know that doesn't mean, and this is not going to matter coming from this crazy tarot reader, but your team is screaming this loudly. It doesn't matter if a man didn't think you were good enough, because God has said and declared that you are more than enough, and he wasn't good enough for you. He wasn't deserving of being in your life and being present with you. And I know that sometimes when crazy things happen to us, right? Like, who wants to grow up without their father around? Nobody. But I do know that I have, heard stories, and I've seen this even with my own eyes, and I'll just use this as an example with my own mother. She was adopted when she was younger. And guys, I will tell you, I am excited by the fact that her biological mother didn't have access to her to raise her, because my mom would have ended up being a crap show like, some other people in the family. Thank God she was rescued by her grandparents, and they gave her a beautiful life. Now, that doesn't negate the fact that she could still carry the weight of, maybe feeling like her mother didn't want her. So I'm saying this is totally understandable, and your team wants to validate that for you. However you feel is totally natural. But what if your father being present in your life would have given you more hell, more shame, more anger, more sadness, more grief? Sometimes I think that we're protected from things beyond our imagination, and a part of healing is accepting the fact that the things that you didn't want are what's best for you. And I can't relate to my father being absent, but I can relate to someone not being a part of my life that I really desired them to be. Like wanting to have a relationship and a connection with somebody, and they just can't do right by you to make that relationship last. I get that. I understand that. And I'm totally, sympathizing and empathizing with you in this moment. But you have a greater purpose, and your mission, your vision, is to support those who may have endured what you did. You're here watching this reading because you're being called. They're showing me the Judgment card. You're being called up for a greater purpose. You're being pulled up and out of this energy in order for you to expand so that you can connect with people that are desiring you. You know that saying, what one man's trash is another man's treasure? That's coming through. They're saying that. And they're saying that you may feel like you were someone's trash, but you will become someone's treasure. And the treasure that you will become first is the treasure of you. They're emphasizing the point that they want you to begin to find treasures within you. There's something about pearls. Oh, look here. There's pearls here. These are like little pearls here on her ear. So there's something about what you hear and how you perceive information There's pearls of wisdom in that. There's something within what you hear that they're wanting you to be attentive to. Okay, they're saying you know what that means, because I'm like, I have no idea what that means. But finding more joy for you is going to assist and support with releasing a lot of this shame. They're wanting you to find reasons to celebrate, pile number 3. Find reasons to celebrate rather than sulking in what didn't work out for you, why things aren't the way that they, should be according to your expectations. Find joy in your strength and your ability to be able to push past these things that have happened to you, including if you had an absent father. Find ways to experience those emotions and move beyond them. You see how this is like, basically could be like in a paddle boat, okay? Like sweeping by. They're wanting you to sit with the emotions, give yourself a time frame. Say, I'll allow myself to only sulk for 5 minutes a day, and then after that it's over. And if you feel like that's too long, shorten it. If you need more time, give yourself more time. Give yourself what you see appropriate without allowing yourself to become stuck and stagnant in it, because it's keeping you from being able to connect with the things that you really, really, really desire. I think you really desire connection. I think you really desire to have relationships. I think you want people that are trustworthy and loyal. I think you want to hide yourself and protect yourself from people who are disloyal and deceitful, right? I'm seeing the 7 of Swords. However, the identity of that deceit, deception, if you wear it as your attire, then that's what you'll energetically bring in. So you can inadvertently be bringing in the very energies that you're trying to escape. There's something about establishing a ritual, okay? And this is not like a creepy, weird, freaky ritual, like, oh my God, this is like a demonic ritual or anything like that. They're showing me it would be beneficial to you to create a ritual around how you process your sulking and your emotions daily. So for example, maybe when you wake up in the morning, you have to find something that you're feeling blessed about. Maybe birds are deeply connected to you. So maybe you want to go outside or open a window and just listen to the birds first thing in the morning. I'm just giving the examples that they're sharing with me, okay? Maybe sitting with the birds will help you recognize and support you in seeing how truly blessed you are. How, although things have not gone the way that you desired in life, I'm hearing all things, okay? For someone, you feel like all things have gone wrong in your life in moments of your life, right? So like maybe every day you're like, oh my God, my life is a crap show. Okay, find a blessing in the day. Find a blessing and start your day off that way and end your day off with the blessings. And the more you do that, they're basically saying that the more space you take up with the good things in your life. So if this is a container, and this is a container, right? We have this much space filled with good things. There's not much space left for the negatives, right? And they're saying they just want you to continue to fill this hole, like fill these gaps with more good so that the bad doesn't have space enough to reside. They're saying that one thing about healing, and this is fantastic, I love this how they're saying this. They're saying one thing about healing is that we think that we're supposed to just conquer it all in a moment. And no, it's really like an emptying out a cup so that you can make space for more. So if I have this sound bowl filled with a bunch of rocks, the rocks are the negative. I need to empty this out before I can fill it with water, which will be the good, because I wouldn't be able to fill it to capacity with water because the space is already being taken up with the rocks, which are the negative. And so they're saying that healing is just that, releasing the old, making room so you can pour in the new. So what you do is you pour in the new. You're going to pour in the blessings. You're going to fill your heart with blessings, reminding yourself of how proud of yourself you are, of how, how free you feel in life by not being bogged down by those negative energies, how you feel grateful and how you feel connected, how can you be present in those moments, right? You're going to stay calm, you're going to find intimacy within yourself, you're going to love on yourself, you're going to recognize how you've been able to overcome all these things that have come your way. It's going to be a pouring into yourself consistently. And if you want, you can look up the emotional wheel. I use the emotional wheel almost every day of my life. Just Google emotional wheel and look at the emotions that are connected to like joy and genius too. Those are often really good. Look at those emotions and find yourself connected to at least, a few of those emotions every day. You can print it out and put it on the wall. That's what I've done. And it'll be super, super, super supportive in assisting you with connecting to the more positive emotions. And the more you pour in the positive emotions, the water, those rocks are going to eventually not have enough space because you're going to be pouring in so much good that you're going to have to take out those rocks. Okay? This is awesome. I love this. I love this. I love this. Okay. Oh, wow. I have to just show you that these two cards are here on the bottom of the deck, okay? The mountain road, you are on the road to success. I'm going to keep that there because you need to be reminded of that. And then the broom here, new home, new attitude. Now, what this broom is speaking to is exactly what your guides were just saying. You sweep out the old so you can usher in the new. So you're cleansing away the old so that you can be presented with a new home and a new attitude. Now, I'm not picking up on this being a physical home. How this feels to me is the new home and the new attitude is going to appear within you the more you allow yourself to go with the flow. Cleanse out the old, bring in something new. Bring in something new first, and then you can remove the old, right? So whatever works for you, but I think it's going to be bringing in the new to clear out the old. That's how your team's given it to me. And then, oh my gosh, look at this, the haystack karma. You will reap what you have sown. Oh my God, these are fantastic cards. And then we have October here. October is harvest, guys, okay? October always gives me harvest vibes, harvest season. You're going to begin to receive what you've been giving out. Because a part of this too for you is it's attached to avoiding the shame, because there's fears in regards to looking at the mistakes that you've made. And that's where you find like an embarrassment. So basically you're avoiding dealing with the emotions of attached to shame because you feel embarrassed because you actually took a part in getting yourself to wherever you were that you didn't like. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then we have the fan here: romance, celebration, and a party. Okay, this is showing up to say that you're fanning in, bringing in new experiences. I was picking up on some people or someone wanting to come in towards you, but they can't because you have a wall up energetically. And energy, again, remember I was saying earlier when they were telling me how, and I'm sorry, you have to forgive me, my nose is like itching like crazy. Whenever I channel, my nose just goes crazy. So we're tapped in, guys. But your team is saying that the energy that you put out is what you're going to bring in, okay? So for you, there's something about just ensuring that you put out good energy, that your energy is aligned with the blessings that you have, the blessing that you are, and that you understand that putting out more peace, more blessings, more abundant thoughts, more expansive ideas and thoughts, more fun, exciting, like joyful energies, you're going to bring those things to you. And then you have February here. Now, February to October, this is showing up. And what they were telling me was put the February here, put the October here. That's why I moved the cards around. And that's because these things are going to happen in between this time frame. So you probably really started to look at yourself and look at healing in a bigger way in February. I'm pretty sure it's just February of this year. Or something major happened. Something major could have happened in February that led you to believe or recognize that you have to do something different in your life. And maybe you've just kind of been working at it little bits at a time, but not really sure where to start. Here's your starting point. So if February was your starting point, and in October, you're going to recognize that there's going to be a drastic shift in the way that you see the world as you do the work. Now, when I'm recording this, we're in April of 2026. This is a timeless reading, so this reading is valid until you want to watch it. Whenever you want to watch it, it's going to be valid. But from now till October, there's going to be some major shifts and epiphanies in the way that you see the world and in your mindset. Your mindset is expanding, okay? And I'm seeing you becoming open to more experiences, more celebrations. Maybe you don't like to go around people to the point to where you may not even want to go around like family events and things like that. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep your tarot cards over to the left here, guys. I'm only going to get 3 or 4, though. We'll see what they say. Wow. Wow. Wow, pile number 3. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is awesome. I love it. And you have, wow, the Magician and the Moon were sticking their heads out. Wow, the Wheel of Fortune's even popping its head up. The Magician, the Moon, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Cups. Okay, I'm going to speak to those things if I need to during the reading, but I just wanted to call them out. You'll notice that you begin your tarot cards and end with water. And then you have fire in the in-between. This is very interesting because this is showing up as similar energy to the ferryman, where they're showing that you may find yourself sulking in energy, but not necessarily taking action. It's almost like the energy of action is in between you actually addressing these emotions. Very interesting. So they're showing that with the Ace of Cups here, that there's a desire, like you have a deep desire to fall in love with yourself, but I'm also seeing someone who's really desiring a connection, a relationship with someone. And I'm going to just tell you, you're not going to have to wait to get rid of this shame in order for this thing to come in. That's not what's happening here. Okay, so don't get that stuck in your mind, because I'm picking up on a little bit of catastrophizing here. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get through all this stuff before this can come in. No, your harvest is going to come in as you tend to these emotions without avoiding. Okay, so as long as you don't avoid looking at yourself, that's healing. Okay, I think that we have this idea that we have to just stay stuck in and sit in energies all day, every day, and oh my gosh, we have to put in so much work. And it's no problem if that's what you've thought, but I'm just here to awaken you to and expand your perspective to that's not it. Healing is not about bringing resolution to things, because honestly, these things typically, in my opinion, I don't think that they just go away. I think they shrink, they minimize themselves, and I think that the joy, the other energies of goodness kind of overshadow them to the point to where we learn new coping mechanisms, right? Your coping skills help to minimize the negative emotions that have been present since, childhood, or, since whenever the traumatic experiences happen. So let me just give you what's coming through here. So first of all, I do see a connection coming through. I cannot deny it. For some of you, you may be moving into a new home. Maybe you have a desire to purchase a new home. Maybe you have a desire to move into your own space. Maybe you feel like you're reliant upon somebody else and you just want to do your own thing. If so, I do see that coming in for you. And I'll tell you why. You have the Broom, new home here, and the Ace of Cups can signify a new home in this deck. But there's a falling in love with yourself that is going to heal your past with the Six of Cups here and your childhood wounds. And it's going to align you with a more confident, self who is, this is the energy that I was picking up on with you pushing upstream. Okay, you're going to be determined to go after your ambitions without fear, without resistance, because this shame is also keeping you from being seen. And I keep picking up on an energy of you being someone who's meant to share your experiences, even if it's just with your family, guys. You're not meant to have gone through the things that you've gone through to be hidden, okay? And this attire, this clothing, like this gown that they keep showing me that you may be hiding under, which is essentially like the tent they were showing earlier, is preventing you from actually showing up in the way that the world needs you to. So your shame is keeping you from allowing us to experience your beauty. And this beauty is not external. You could be externally beautiful, but this that I'm talking about and that they're speaking to me about is the beauty that is within you. There's a grace to your energy, and you're hiding behind your pain. And I just have to be completely honest with you because the cards are just screaming it. You're hiding behind your pain, but remember, you're on the road to success. So you're almost at the top of the mountain. And I don't think you realize that. It's almost like you're at the tip of the iceberg. There just has to be, because I'm feeling a tower moment, like something has had to come in to just shake you up, to shake you free so that you could experience authenticity. Because what you're seeking is energy. And when I say energy, this is how they're showing it. You're seeking like fiery energy, as far as not like, schmexual stuff. It's more so like a place where you feel not only secure, safe, but to where you feel like you can be your authentic self. That's how this feels. Like you desire to be yourself, your authentic self. And I think you you aspire to be more in love with yourself than you do someone else. And the one thing though that I want to just advise you on there, bringing this to my attention, is that can also be avoidance. Because what will happen is when we've been wounded, especially when we carry shame, we want to avoid putting ourselves in situations that can potentially harm us. And so what we'll do is say, oh, I just want to love myself. But that's not what's in store for you, pile number 3. There's a connection here. There's too many cards here screaming. There's a soulmate connection, a true connection of someone who will understand you, right? You could be an Aries, Leo, or a Sag, or going to have one in your life, or you could be a water sign, Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, or have one of those coming towards you. But there's blessings all around you. The blessing is going to come by means of you first pouring into yourself. So that's the first piece of advice that you're getting. Pour into yourself. Remain balanced, because they're showing me this as like yin and yang energy. Remain balanced in how you process your emotions. Be extremely sensitive to the emotion of shame, because most of your pain is rooted in shame. When you see a bird, when you wake up in the morning, remember or remind yourself of how blessed you truly are. And when someone comes in that you feel deeply connected to, don't push them away. Because remember, your tribe, with the moth to the flame, your tribe is being brought into you. Okay, you're being connected with those who are like-minded, who are aligned with your purpose and mission, and who will and are supportive of your harvest season. So don't push away, don't reject, don't deny access, don't avoid your feelings. Acknowledge them, address them, scrape that top layer of the wound off so that new red blood cells can come in, new energy can come in, and you can be rejuvenated and revived. and stay on target, because you're very goal oriented, very wise and intelligent, I'm seeing. But don't let that create an aversion or reluctancy to actually dealing with your emotions, okay? Because you may just want to be like, I'm over this. I don't have time. I don't have time. Especially with the visionary energy here. Sometimes when you're very high level thinker and you're all about the vision moving forward, you can get caught up in missing the nows, missing the moments. And you can also do the opposite, get stuck in the nows of, oh my gosh, this pain is killing me, and then not move past it. So create balance in that. Okay, pile number 3. I hope this resonated with you. I hope it gave you some advice and some input as to which emotions your team is wanting to bring into balance. I pray that these things manifest in your life quickly. Well, we know between February and October, so that's fantastic. I'm praying for you guys. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for watching. Be sure to drop a comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time. Bye.